Hello students, this is your second tutorial for our app project. In today's tutorial we are going to be picking up where we left off with our intro to jQuery, and we are going to be developing your base functionality based off of the last tutorial that we did. So this will allow you to lay the groundwork for exactly how your main interactions are going to work. And then there'll be subsequent tutorials where we'll be adding in the UX UI via CSS, and then perfecting transitions, and then adding our finishing touches via animation. You may hear my dog snarfling and crunching. He's just off to the left of me here. I gave him a treat inside of a toy, so he would be quiet. Okay, so this is pretty much the code that we started off with for your last tutorial that just sort of showed you really easily how to switch out your screens and just sort of intro jQuery to you. A couple different things that I'll point out here. Here's our app. I've just changed the names of the screens. So I have an animation screen. Before I had screen 1, screen 2, screen 3. So I've just changed the names a little bit. So now I have an animation screen, I have a main screen, and I have an outcome screen. And we're going to use these divs here, screen 3, screen 1, screen 2. We're going to use these as pretty much the containers for what's going to be happening on these individual screens. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to first work with our animation screen, because the functionality that we want, and I'll put it in comments here, is that we want the animation screen or the holder. It's going to animate maybe for like 8 seconds, 8 to 10 seconds. And then after that, we're going to hide it. And when that hides, what will happen is we will show our main screen, and then we're going to have 3 options on the main screen. And all of these options will hide that main screen or your menu screen, and then show what we're going to call the outcome screen. And then on that last screen, we're going to need a back button. And a lot of this we already have built out from our last tutorial. I'm just going to make this a little more neat here. Okay, so that's pretty much what we're going to be doing in this tutorial. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do in order to be able to articulate this, what we're calling screen 1, which is going to pretty much be our like animation screen, or you can think of it again as like this div that's going to hold all the stuff that's going to happen inside the animation screen, which we'll be adding in via CSS later. But for right now, we're going to just focus on the baseline functionality. So I'm going to go over to the CSS and just style this a bit more. I could also obviously use the web inspector. So I just want to make sure that this is up at the top. And then I also want to position this screen. I want to position this absolutely, because I'm going to be controlling its position via my animation. So I just want to get like a really nice full cover container. So I'll just copy this over into the CSS. Okay, and that's going to be screen 1. And I'll just kind of replace all of that for the time being. Okay, and then again, we're going to add more elements into this screen 1 container at a later time. We'll probably, we'll probably end up removing this H1. Maybe we'll keep this this ID, or maybe we'll kind of redo some stuff. But again, just to reiterate, this is going to be your container that's going to contain anything that's going to be part of your animation. So anything that's part of your animation is going to be a child of this friend here. Okay, so what we want to do with this screen here is we want to hide it after a certain number of seconds. So that way you can have your animation, it could be doing, its own thing, right? It could just be kind of blasting, doing its own thing. But then at a certain point, what we're going to do is we're going to use jQuery to hide it. So I think what we will do now is maybe let's just add a really simple animation in there. So just so we can kind of have a general idea of where we're heading. So I'm like breaking my own plan here, as I often do. Y'all know that. Okay, so let's just give this like, we'll name this smarter later. Okay, and then so what I'm going to do with this friend here is I'm just going to head over to the CSS and hashtag. I'm just going to make a super simple animation out of this. So let's just give it like a height and a width. I don't know, 30 VW. Let's say, oops. And let's give it a background color. Okay, and then let's write an animation for this. So let's just say at keyframes. Let's just call it starter. And I'll just do a 0 and a 100 to start off with. Okay, and then I'm just going to do a width and a height for this. So we'll just start it off where we had it. And then I'm just going to increase it. So let's just say like, ooh, that's a lot. Okay, and then I'll call the animation here. And I'll say starter. I'll say I want it to last for, let's say 2 seconds. And I want to do infinite alternate. There we go. Okay, so let's just check on that. Okay, well, only thing that I forgot there is that my background is already red. So let's just change it to blue. Oh, and then also I want to just make it have some we'll do border radius, and then just do, we want it to be at least half of how big it's going to get. So I just like to do like the biggest unit I have so that I know it's always going to be a circle. And then let's turn this off just for a second. And we're just going to leave this just so we always know that when we land here, it's our animation screen. So I just want to put this in the center. Yeah, okay, so we'll do 0 auto, and then, but we'll also do maybe like, great. Okay, so I'm gonna just grab these last 2 lines and copy this over here. And then we can turn back on our animation. Okay, great. So now we have the start of our opening animation. You know, and maybe you have your logo here, maybe it's positioned absolutely, so you don't have to mess with this positioning. But, you know, here's the starter of what, you know, a really basic opening animation would be, and then we can just perfect this later. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to get this whole screen to hide after a certain number of seconds, and then we also want to show our secondary screen. So the way that we originally had it was if you clicked on this button here, which was our H1, it would show the second screen. In our JS, I have gotten rid of that functionality, so I only have the click show hide functionality for what's happening on the main page here. So let's just put some comments there. Main page to outcome, and let's use screen. And then let's also do, okay, and then we're also gonna do, so this one we're just gonna say this is going to be how you click on our outcome page to get back to main page. Okay, and then we'll just have to change some of the IDs and stuff in here, but we'll leave these as little templates for us to use later. Okay, so, and then obviously we're gonna wanna, we're setting and hiding, we're hiding our screen 2 and screen 3. Remember, screen 1 is what we're using right now, or what we're working on right now, which is this. And then we're hiding screen 2 and screen 3. Okay, so pretty much what we want to do is we want to do the same thing that we have here for screen 1, but we're going to add a delay on it. So I just copied this hide, and I'll just go to the line below. And I'm going to use this one up here. I'm going to leave this copy as the one that's actually going to do the hiding for screen 2 and screen 3. And then I'm going to be targeting screen 1. All right. And I don't want to hide it just right off the bat, right? Because I want it to do its animation thing. So I'm going to add in here, okay, this is the jQuery method. This is the thing that does something. And the way that you connect the method itself here, this hide, to your target, which is a piece of HTML, either you know, an element or an ID, is with this period, okay? So that's called object notation. So it takes whatever this thing is doing. It's easier if you read it backwards. So this thing is hiding, and this is the thing that it is doing that thing to, okay? So we can do some stuff in between here. We can add a couple other methods. So the technique that we're going to use here is called method chaining. And so we're going to add in a method called .delay. And then it still gets the same syntax, right? So our method operator here, and then the actual delay, and then the parameters. Okay, and then we're going to put something inside the parameters. So we are going to say, we're going to say 5,000. All right, and actually that might, yep, sorry, no quotes. Sometimes I forget what gets quotes and what's not. I know just from coding long enough that true numbers are usually some kind of green in most coding editors. So that's how I caught that mistake there. Okay, so 5,000 means 5 seconds. 1,000 would be 1 second because it's milliseconds. Okay, so milli meaning 1,000, so 1,000 in 1 second. So if you wanted to delay for 5 seconds and then hide, this is the function that you would call for that. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's refresh the page. Okay. Oops, one thing I forgot is that you can also put, so the parameters that this function will accept, right, and the parameters go in here, this also accepts a amount of time. So you could say like slow in here, or you could say fast, or you could put an actual unit of measurement in there. So here's the difference though. If we put hide 5,000, okay, so again, this is going to hide, but it's going to hide it after 5 seconds. So let's take a look here. So see how it begins to hide it? And that's not exactly what we want, right? We want the animation to do its thing, and then we want the animation to go away. So the thing that we need though is, because we're using something that it's like mainly working off of time, right? Delay just means like wait this many seconds and then do whatever's after me. Okay, so if we run this, this will have the opportunity to run for 5 seconds, and then after 5 seconds, our animation will start to happen. Okay, and we could also do, instead of a hide, and this will be way more on this in our subsequent tutorials on sort of like perfecting our animations and our motion in our app. We could also do fade out, which is pretty much a hide, and then it'll fade out. It'll take 5 seconds to fade out. So we'll have this 5-second animation, and then after the 5 seconds, this will begin to fade out. Now, there's one other thing that we want to do after we, so as soon as we hide this page, whether we're doing a fade out or you could also do like a slide up. More coming on this later, obviously. But just to kind of give you a preview. So 5 seconds and then a little slide up action. Or cute. Or you could do slide down. Okay, but I'm going to focus, Duffy. Okay, so now that we have this, so our animation is going to get a chance, the animation, which is the child of this ID, it's going to last for 5 seconds, and then it's going to animate out for 5 seconds. Okay? You can also call an animation here. There's all kinds of cool stuff that we could do. We could do a fade out, fade in, all kinds of good stuff. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to bring in this screen 2. Okay? So we're going to keep this screen 2 hiding. Okay, we're going to hide it initially, but what we're going to do is right after we hide it, so I'm going to copy this line again, just so y'all have little templates to use. I'm going to target screen 2, no comma, right, because I'm just using the 1. And I'm hiding in here, but I'm going to call this same little trick that I'm doing here, where I'm doing a delay, and then a show, pretty much. So a slide up, fade in, all those things, those are just like fancier shows, okay? So let's just leave ourselves some comments. Show has some other things that just have more fancy things, right? Like slide up, fade out, or fade in, sorry. Fade out would be hide, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll go over all the different options you have for what are basically fancy shows in a subsequent tutorial. Okay, so what we want to do is we obviously want to change this to show, but if we just have this and then this, obviously this logic is going to get messed up, right? Like it's not going to know what to do. It'll initially hide it, but then it'll show it, and then our program's just running, so it'll show. So we're going to call that delay here again. Okay, delay, and we're going to say delay 5 seconds, delay 5 seconds, and then let's do our show. So let's try. All right, so here is our animation. It starts to animate up. It's going to do a slide up. Boom. And then it's going to show our main screen. We are cute. Oh my God. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, because the main screen is going to have my options, my UI options, of which you need 3, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to build 3 containers. I'm going to stack them into the center of the page. For my app, I'm going to be using these cards, right? So by cards, just to reiterate, if you go to components, here's all the components. Chips, cards, here we go. These are cards. Cards contain content and actions about a single subject, so it allows you to have lots of different information in like a nice little UI package. So I'm going to just make a div that has a height and a width, and then eventually I'm going to put all these little things inside of that div. So all these little pieces, right, are going to eventually be the children of this bigger container that I'm going to build. So we're just going to build those containers, and then again later you're going to put stuff inside of those as children. So you'll have images, you'll have little clicky things, all kinds of cute stuff. Because again, our goal here is just to like build a more robust working template that then we can sort of like add really specific CSS to. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the index here, and I'm going to be working in screen 2 because this is going to be my main page. Oops, wrong language. Main page. Party. All right, here we go. Boom. So let's just leave our title for the time being, because I'm assuming you'll probably want some type of titling. Let's just leave it as main screen just so we know exactly where we are. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a div friend, and let's name it card1. Oops, I need ID. Card1. Okay, and then we'll just do a card2. And then we're going to do a card3. Whoops. Come back here. I want you to go there, and I would like you to have an ID called, wait, why did I do it this way? That was dumb. Just copy it and paste it and change it. Okay, so before I head on over to give these a little bit of style, I'm gonna also give these opening tags, I'm also gonna give them a class, because you can do that. And let's just name it cards, or card. And what this will allow me to do is it'll allow me to just have to style them one time. So now they'll all have their own unique identifier, which is an ID, and then they'll also all have the same class, so I can just do this one time and make my life a lot easier. So let's head over here, and let's target our card. Oops, dot card. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to give it a height. Let's say 50 VW and a width. And I want these to be like almost to the edge, so I'm going to do 90 VW. And I'm going to give them a margin of 0 auto, because that's a technique for centering. So let's see how this looks so far. Oh, well, I haven't even given it any, I don't know what I'm trying to do. You know, real quick, this reminds me, this is what I was trying to do. We're just gonna go to the JS super quick, and I'm just gonna get rid of, I'm gonna just comment this out just for the time being. And I am going to just add screen 1 to this list of stuff that I'm hiding, just so I can see what I'm doing. So we're gonna turn this back on in a minute and then take this out so that the functionality that we have can just go. But so that we don't lose our minds, we wanna just like we wanna just see the main screen like right away. Okay, and don't worry about this weird little white space. This is because of how things are validating right now. If you're getting this, just kind of ignore it for the time being. Okay, so sorry, let's just handle this screen 1 situation first. Let's head back to the CSS, because that way you don't have to wait 5 seconds every time you open that page. And I'm going to give it a background color. And let's just say, I'm just going to say white for the time being. And let's give it a tiny border radius, so we can just have like slightly roundy corners. Let's do like 1 VW. And then let's give it a box shadow. Okay, and I want to make it, all right, look at our little cards, y'all, we're UI designers. Okay, we're gonna just give it a really simple shadow, and the way that we'll do that is it goes the X, so the horizontal, the vertical, the blur, the spread. I might have these mixed up, but that's okay. And then the color. So I'm just gonna grab a color picker. Ooh, actually, you know what? Let's use our, I know for sure for my app, I haven't done the color tool yet, but let's just get comfortable using this color tool. I know for sure I'm gonna wanna do this like really dark blue, and I think I'm gonna wanna balance it out with the neon green that I love. No, I wanna do this, and then this one on this one. Yeah, that's cute. That's sporty. I'm making a sporty app. Okay, so let's go with this color for the time being. Right, and so I'm gonna throw this here, and I'm just gonna maybe do like, I'm gonna do pixels for this because I want smaller units. Let's do like 3 pixels. And actually, what we want to pay attention to for this, and some of this is like an intro to what's coming, let's just look at how the shadows are rendered. Grab my chart here. Okay, so in material design theory, if we look at, let's go to material design. Yeah, that's what I wanted, .io. Let's go to components. Yeah, and then here, let's look at cards, okay? So let's just take a look at this shadow. One of the things that is most important about material design and material design system is that things should look like they do in reality, and the shadows should look like they're coming from above, right? So light should come from above, like real life, okay? So you can obviously play with this and like intentionally do some wacky shit with your shadows. I, of course, encourage brutal design, but let's just look at how we can think about making this, okay? So we want the same shadow on each side, and then we want it to be slightly bigger over here, okay? So because the way that CSS works is because these first two are going to be the horizontal or the X and the vertical and the Y. If I do 1 VW, it's going to go 1 pixel to the right. If I do -1 VW, it'll go 1 pixel to the left. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put 0 pixels. And on the horizontal, which is the Y, 1 is going to go down and -1 will go up. So I'm going to do 1 pixel here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to really rely on the spread. Okay, so blur, I'll do like, this is going to be blur, I'll do like maybe 2 pixels just to, so that's sort of like how to make it instead of just like a hard shadow, it's going to be a little bit of, oops, sorry, let me put a little, let's put like 3 VW here so we can see it. Okay, so let me diagnose what the problem is here. So I'm not seeing my shadow come up. So I'm going to use the web inspector. Oops, I think I clicked on something. Let's see here. So let's grab my body. Grab it's in screen 2, and it's going to be card 1. Okay, so box shadow. Oh, I always spell shadow wrong. See, but here's how you can tell, because it's telling you, hey dum-dum, you spelled shadow wrong. This is how I think we should spell shadow, personally. Shadow. But it's okay. We'll move on. Okay, great. So we have quite a bit of blur, right? Okay, so again, let's look at this with the web inspector. here's our blur, right? So if we turn that blur down just a tiny bit, and then here's our spread. All right, and then let's actually just go with black for right now. Okay, or maybe we could try like a gray, just like a slight gray. Actually, what will look okay? I don't know why I'm obsessing, but here's like the basics, and we could even we can mess with this and make it even slighter, right? But all I wanted to point out was that like if you want a shadow to be even on like both sides, either the top or the bottom, the left or the right, you just do 0, and then you just let the blur and the spread do the work for you. Okay, so and then since I'm here, one other trick I just wanted to show y'all is we can actually make see-through divs and then just give them like only a outline, which would be sort of like a ghost button or a ghost box. So if we would have to do border, and we'll do like, let's say 1VW, solid, and then I think I'll use my, yeah, okay, so let's go, we did gray, I think, right? Okay, so we'll do border, we'll say 0.5 VW for the time being, solid, and then we'll give it my neon color, okay? But then for our background color, we can use what's called RGBA. And RGBA is going to allow you to do red, green, blue, alpha. Alpha is how you get transparency. So we can put any color in here, 255, 255, 255 would be white. All the colors is white. And then just a 0. And that should give us just green, neon green outlines. But I think we need to fix, I think we ended up doing like 2 and 3, maybe. Okay. And let's actually, let's see. All right. That looks okay for the time being. Let's do we do 2 here? I want this to be, okay, cool. So let's leave that where it is for now. Now, I'm still gonna mess with this. All right, that shadow looks like a little whack, but we're just gonna leave it for the time being. So these are gonna be my 3 cards. Let's give them just maybe a tiny bit more space so we can see what we're doing. Again, we're gonna perfect this all later. I'm saying this more for myself than for y'all. Okay, so what we wanna do now is we wanna build in the functionality. So if it's easier for you to just leave the background color in here so you recognize that they're like clickable objects, go for it. I just wanna show you how you can make things that, maybe don't have a full fill on them. Oh, and since we're here, you could also do like a semi-full fill, right? So 0.5, and then you could have this sort of like transparent texture, which like looks really nice if you have stuff behind it. So lots of good stuff for you here. I'm gonna fix this too, because I'm just, okay, whatever, I need to stop. So now that we've kind of have these looking a certain way, and we're gonna make them into clickable objects so that we can get to our 3rd page, and then we'll add that feature to get back to this main screen. So we kind of already have this function. So for instance, if we click on main screen, then we go to the outcome screen. So what we're gonna do in the JS, okay, is in what we're currently calling to3rd, which is the name of this ID here, the main screen button, we're going to the last page, okay? So I'm gonna head on over back to my HTML, and we're working here. I'm just gonna get rid of that ID for the time being, just to keep it simple, I'm just going to delete that. And we're just going to keep the main screen just so we can see. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to replace that ID that is currently holding the click with card 1, card 2, card 3. Because you're building 3 options, but you're only building 1 outcome screen, so you could just make them all go to that second screen. So let's head back to the script page. And here, where it says 2/3, we're going to replace that with our clickable items IDs. So we're going to have, I've already forgotten what I named them. Yeah, card 1, card 2, card 3. So card 1, card 2, card 3. Okay, so we're going to put this in here because we want to, when we click on these, all right, so when we click on the cards, we want to hide the screen that we're on, and then we don't have to put screen 1 in here. You can, it wouldn't hurt. We just don't need to do that, it's redundant. And then we're going to show screen 3. So click on any of these cards, we're going to hide that page and show the secondary page. So pretty much the same thing that we did. So we'll click on this, boom. Okay, so while we're here on this page, let's just go ahead and let's build out our back screen, and then we can maybe do just like a little bit of animation, little intro here. So on this last page, I'm back in the HTML now, on screen 3. Let's get rid of this 2/1 ID, okay? And I am just going to make a div, and I'm going to name it, let's name it ID back. And I like these little ones on the same, perfect. Okay, so with that ID back, I want to put a character in here. Let's look up some HTML characters. And if you don't know about these, character entity reference, yeah, okay. So there's so many HTML characters. A lot of people get really into these, especially like brutalist designers, because they're kind of like a really cute little icon set that you can use straight from HTML. So if this is something you're interested in for your icons, you're totally welcome to use this. So we're going to find a back button that we think is kind of cool. Ooh, I'm into this one. Okay, and how this page works, I'll make sure it's linked for you, is that we can grab any of these references. So I'm going to grab the first one. That's going to be, let's see, let's try this one. That's going to be the HTML reference. And it pretty much, it is an HTML character. Like this code creates whatever visual it outputs. So I'm going to go back here and let's throw that in my back button. Let's see, does that come through? Yeah, okay. See, it's super tiny. So what we want to do is we want to make it bigger, and we want to put it like up in the corner because that's going to be our back button. Also, you'll see those on the bottom of the screen a lot of times too, so I'm just going to kind of position this where it might go. But let's give it a little, so we're going to give it a little style. So let's go to CSS. Let's target .back. And we're going to give it a color. I want this to be white. And then font size. Oh my goodness. Let's say 10 VW. And I think what we'll do is instead of giving it a position absolute, let's actually rearrange this. I want this to go before the H1. So I want it to go before the H1. And let's see. And I know I want to give it a margin. So maybe like 3 VW from the top, right, nothing from the bottom, and then maybe 3 VW from the left. Oh, And none of this is working because I did it in class. Are y'all just sitting there in internet space like screaming at me? Let's see. Oh my god, we're cute. That's really cute. We're so cute. Let's do like 15 BW. It's so cute. I want to go back to the main page. Okay, cool. So now we're going to use this. Right now it's not a clickable option. We have this one clicking back to our animation screen right now, but that's hidden. So we're going to use that functionality and replace it with this. So we know that we have named that friend back. So let's go to JS. And with this last one, so click on the outcomes page, get back to the main page. What we're going to put what we're targeting in here, okay? So we're going to say we're targeting back because that's going to be the thing we want to click on. So that means that it's a clickable function, meaning that when we click on it, we're going to run a function. A function is something that does something, okay? So at this point, we are already hiding the screen 2. So we know we want to hide screen 3 when we click on this one, because we want to go back to screen 2. Okay? So when we click on this button, I want to go back to that blue screen and hide the screen that this button is on. So it's a click function now. We're going to hide screen 3. That's the screen it's on, the pink screen. And then we're going to show screen 2, which is our menu screen. And y'all can name these whatever you want. Maybe I should have named them, you know, main screen. But here we are. All right, so let's try that out. Boom. So click on this. Click on this. Oh my god, look at that. We're so cute. Great. Okay, so let's add in just a tiny bit of functionality. So let's try a, instead of a hide, let's try a slide up and a slide down. Something didn't work. That's okay. Let's try a fade in. Oh no, here, let's do, oh, I think it's slide up and maybe it's slide in. We can just look at the reference, but let's try it. Let's look up slide up in jQuery. Slide up method. And let's see what other slides we have. Is it only slide up? Yeah, it is slide down. Huh. Well, let's try a fade in. And then let's try a, we want to make sure that it's going to be a show. So let's try a slide in. No, it would be slide down. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try a fade in and then a fade out. Okay, so let's try a slide up, and then let's try a show, and let's give it a certain amount of time. So maybe 3 seconds. So this one's going to slide up, and then this one's going to show, but it's going to show over the course of 3 seconds. So we're going to click on back. Here, let's just walk through it. Here we go. Oh, this should be screen, okay, and then screen 2. We want screen 2 here. Okay, so we'll change this one to screen 3, and we want this one to hide. And this one we want to be screen 2 because we want, so this one will be screen 2. So we want to click on back. We want to hide the screen that's on, which is screen 3. And then we want to show screen 2.